It's been almost a year since Nadal released I Promised You the Moon, and one look on Letterboxd proves that fans still aren't quite sure what to make of the long-awaited sequel. The cinematography is top-notch, the casting is pitch-perfect, hell, it's a Nadal production. So why do so many people, myself included, have mixed feelings about this show? Well, as we'll discover, I Promised You the Moon struggles with pacing and characterization. Its frequent time skips not only make the story hard to follow, but also leave little room for characters and plot points to develop properly. These issues, coupled with some ill-advised writing choices, culminate in a lackluster conclusion that completely undermines the brilliance of the original series. But I'd be wrong to dismiss the show as a complete dumpster fire, so today we're going to examine what worked, what didn't, and how the show could have avoided some of its major problems. I'm Pastelin, and this is a very overdue autopsy of I Promised You the Moon. Like its predecessor, I Promised You the Moon is an atmospheric feast for the eyes. The city of Bangkok, with its subdued color palette and imposing urban architecture, lies in stark contrast to sun-kissed Phuket. Oh Ao's apartment is awash in blue light, reflecting his loneliness at university. Bangkok is so unlike the tight-knit coastal community he was raised in. It's no wonder he feels like a fish out of water in the big city. For many viewers, including myself, Oh Ao's homesickness is agonizingly familiar. You want independence, but find yourself aching for the sights, sounds, smells, and tastes of home. If nothing else, I Promised You the Moon captures this dilemma perfectly. But through these trials, Oh finds a like-minded group of friends and blossoms into his best self. Oh was never reserved per se, but he'd never really had a support system that understood him inside and out. Thankfully, his new friends are more than equipped to help Oh navigate queer university life. Having Tae is nice, of course, but for the first time in his life, he has a community with whom he can discuss the deeper details of his sexuality. With these friends, Oh grows confident in his identity, experiments with his gender presentation, and most importantly, discovers his true vocation. Needless to say, university changes people, and Oh Ao is no exception. He realizes his potential in marketing and, for the first time, makes a decision independent of Tae. As someone who experienced a similar crisis in their first year of college, seeing Oh Ao fall out of love with acting was oddly comforting. The future is malleable, and you shouldn't hesitate to switch course if you find promise in a different career path. Naturally, this decision leads to a disconnect between Oh and Tae. I'm not super keen on Tae's characterization from episode 2 onwards, but his reaction to Oh transferring is pretty realistic. The show earnestly attempts to depict two young adults navigating change. As their respective careers pull them in different directions, their relationship naturally fizzles out. This is a fantastic central conflict. The show had ample space to explore Tae and Oh's characters as they grow into fully realized adults. And yet, I Told Sunset About You's Tae is, in no uncertain terms, an asshole. But he's also a kid coming to grips with his bisexuality. Like any hormonal teenager, he bottles up his frustrations and lashes out at loved ones. Of course, his behavior has repercussions. He loses Oh Ao's friendship again, and self-sabotages his way out of a university scholarship. Confronted with these losses, Tae realizes the importance of emotional honesty and makes peace with his attraction to Oh. Surely the sequel wouldn't undermine such a crucial aspect of Tae's character. Surely Tae wouldn't repeat his past mistakes as an adult. Right? So, I Promised You the Moon is about Tae suppressing his emotions. Instead of verbalizing his frustrations, he lets his resentment fester. He publicly humiliates his boyfriend and has a full-on temper tantrum when Oh snaps back. His character development in I Told Sunset About You is seemingly a non-factor. If anything, he appears less emotionally mature compared to the original series. This regression makes for an incredibly unpleasant viewing experience. Tae isn't a kid anymore. His characterization is appropriate for a 13-year-old maybe, but not a university student. Watching Tae act like, and I'm putting this nicely, an emotionally constipated man-baby for 5 episodes is excruciating. And unfortunately, this problem is only exacerbated by the show's clunky pacing. I Told Sunset About You only spans a few months. Are you fucking kidding me? They were completely silent just a second ago! Anyway, I Told Sunset About You only spans a few months, but its relaxed pace allows for incredibly nuanced characterization. Nothing is left unexplored, no detail omitted. Tae and Oh feel like real people, flawed but sympathetic, good and bad in equal measure. Though Tae often straddles the line between adorkable and frustrating, he's never flat out unlikable. Moreover, I Told Sunset About You's relatively slow pace gives Tae breathing room to develop as a character. His transformation is gradual, spanning over 5 feature-length episodes. We see him engage in self-reflection and make amends with Tarn and his family. As a result, his reunion with Oh in episode 5 feels earned. On the other hand, I Promised You the Moon skims over so much detail and development that, by the finale, its characters feel hollow and artificial. As I mentioned earlier, Tae is prone to angry outbursts. A well-paced show would use these moments as a springboard for character growth, but I Promised You the Moon never really allows Tae to reflect on his mistakes. The show's refusal to develop Tae's character results in an absolute clusterfuck of a final episode, but we'll get to that later. The frequent time skips also prevent the show's various storylines from reaching their natural conclusions. Characters have little to no time to resolve issues before the show abruptly shifts course and bombards them with new problems. I remember rewatching episode 2 and being like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder how Tae is going to overcome his acting slump, and oh, the writers completely forgot about it. Okay. Time and again, the series introduces and then swiftly discards potentially interesting plot points. After a few episodes, it becomes difficult to emotionally invest in the characters' struggles. Why care about this cast if their conflicts aren't allowed resolutions? By the final episode, I felt completely disconnected from the story. It doesn't help that many of these conflicts are painfully underdeveloped. Previously helpful characters are suddenly like, I think I will cause problems on purpose. Why, you ask? Because the writers said so, that's why. This, of course, brings us to the show's resident homewrecker, Jai. In episodes 1 and 2, Jai is a perfectly charming addition to the show's cast. He's presented as a sort of mentor figure, a fellow drama student who understands Tae's apprehension to change. And as far as we know, he's the only other LGBT student in the drama club. The whimsical music that plays during Jai's introductory scene reflects Tae's excitement at meeting another queer actor. He thinks, there really are other people like me. Initially, Jai is to Tae what Q is to Oh Eun. He helps Tae process Kim's retirement from acting and offers sage relationship advice when things get hairy with Oh. He's a great foil to Tae, whose impulsivity often gets the best of him. Unsurprisingly, their scenes together are some of the most memorable in the entire show. But, as we all know, this budding friendship falls apart after episode 2. Seemingly out of nowhere, Jai becomes a master manipulator determined to drive a wedge between Tae and Oh. This character shift lacks any build-up or foreshadowing, and to make matters worse, Jai has no clear motive for ruining Tae's relationship. True, some characters are evil for the sake of being evil, but Jai feels more like the product of lazy writing. Moreover, nothing in the previous 2 episodes indicates that Tae has romantic feelings for Jai. The cheating subplot comes so out of left field that viewers were left questioning Tae's intentions up until the infamous kiss scene. If the writers had at least hinted at his attraction to Jai in previous episodes, well, the plot still wouldn't work, but it would make sense. This sudden twist is nothing more than a ham-fisted attempt to add drama to the story. Ignoring the writer's inability to build dramatic tension, this plot point is still incredibly problematic. As it turns out, people are less inclined to root for your character's relationship if one of them is unfaithful. Now the show has to work twice as hard to redeem Tae, and given I Promised You the Moon's track record of poor characterization, I shouldn't have been surprised that Tae's redemption arc is non-existent. The series finale skips to the tail end of Tae and Oh's college careers. Tae has achieved fame as an actor and appears to have mellowed out since his breakup with Oh. I say appears because, well, we never see this transformation on screen. You heard that right. The series actually fast-forwards through Tae's redemption arc. I can't believe I have to say this, but for your story to be compelling, you have to actually write character development. What if Zuko disappeared for 2 seasons, then came back and was like, "Hey guys, I'm good now"? Would you, the viewer, believe him? Of course not. Likewise, who's to say Tae is a changed man deserving of a second chance? We never see him grapple with his past or attempt to change his behavior. His happy ending happens on a whim. Thus, the story's conclusion feels empty and undeserved. The top Letterboxd review for I Promised You the Moon dubs the show a fanfic sequel made by a Wong Kar-ai stan who's a mediocre writer with good photography and color grading skills. And while this criticism may seem harsh, I agree with its base sentiment. The show attempts to replicate elements of I Told Sunset About You, the color symbolism, Tae's identity crisis, without understanding what made them work in the first place. The result is a series that, while visually gorgeous, fails to recapture the magic of the first season. What makes I Promised You the Moon such a frustrating series to watch and review is its untapped potential. Though I ragged on the show for its mishandling of certain storylines and characters, I was genuinely invested for the first 2 episodes. Tae's resistance to change, Oh's loneliness in the big city. Had these conflicts been given proper time and attention, this series could have been something spectacular. But as it stands now, I don't think I Promised You the Moon works as a sequel or even a standalone series. But as an aspiring screenwriter and film critic, I'll be the first person to tell you that making art is a process of trial and error, and it's virtually impossible to get everything right. I commend anyone who's willing to put themselves and their work out there. And despite its pitfalls, I Promised You the Moon is still more put together than the majority of BL series out today. This was clearly a passion project, and I appreciate the time and care put into its production. Seeing as Nadao is now officially defunct, I want to end this video with a sincere thank you to the cast and crew of both I Told Sunset About You and I Promised You the Moon for bringing Tae and Oh's story to life. So, here it is.